I've been collecting evidence for students as part of my documentation in the class, or maybe alongside students as part of the All About Me K-6 portfolio. So I'm going to go ahead and maybe just put a few more comments in or do a bit more documenting. I'm going to show you how to do that next. So go ahead and log into D2L and go into your D2L course, otherwise known as your class site. Inside of the class site, you will want to go to the portfolio tool. Now that you're in the portfolio tool, you're going to go to class portfolios. The evidence that we're going to be adding more documentation about is stuff that you've already approved. So if you haven't approved the evidence, you would want to go to approve evidence and do that part first. I'm going to go ahead and look at something that I recently added to Holly Shiftwell that I would like to maybe do a little bit more documenting about. So I'm clicking on Holly's, and inside of Holly's, I see a few items here that I would like to do a little bit of documenting on. I can click right on the items, and that will allow me to see more information about the items. I can also quickly make changes in preview from here. So I can see that I have a picture of maybe some tomatoes that have grown. I can preview and listen to what was said.
Because they are tasty and red.
So you might have collected the evidence alongside the students and have them talk about what the tomatoes mean to them, something like that. And now we have some options here where we can do a little bit more documenting. One way that we can do some documenting is using categories, and you might also call them tags. And so if I click on that, it will bring me into the evidence area, and I can add categories that relate to this particular topic. So maybe it's about my learning. Maybe it was about problem solving and innovating, if you're doing this as part of the early years framework. And you could pick other things also that you would like to put in. So these are categories that are preset, and you can also add your own categories if you like, and I can show you that too. So I'm just going to close the categories. For younger students, if you haven't done an audio recording for them to talk about what this picture of tomatoes or whatever the evidence means, you can also type something in on behalf of the student if you would like to do it that way. So if you would like to talk about the tomatoes and it's a class inquiry that you did or something like that, then you are welcome to do the documenting here and type in any information that you would like. So you can give some information there about any part of the inquiry that's going on in your class. And this could include having some information that you have somewhere else, some notes that you've taken somewhere else, and copying and pasting them. So this would be for young children and where you would want to do some documenting on their behalf, or just perhaps some notes for yourself. You do have the option. Right now, this is right now untitled. The date is automatically there, but you're welcome to change that. Tomatoes. And another area where you could do some documentation is under teacher feedback. So if the student has talked about it, or for older students, if they have done some reflecting on it in the thoughts area, then perhaps you would just like to add some comments or feedback here in the teacher inquiry area. And so in your documentation, you have lots of options. You can add categories. You can add teacher reflections or thoughts if the student has already done that on their own, or for very young students, they might say something about it during the app, or if you wish to, you can upload an audio file where they've recorded something about that, or you could type something in, including copying and pasting your thoughts on the ePortfolio. So I'm back now to Holly Schiffwell's portfolio, and I can see the class inquiry on tomatoes. And if I really wanted to promote that as part of her portfolio, I can click on the star to spotlight that. And you can see that the picture with the tomatoes in the window show up at the top. And if I go back, I can see Holly's that the tomatoes is a spotlit item in her portfolio. And if I wish to, one thing that I may want to do is add my own categories. So to do that, I go to the gears and I would go to Portfolio Category Management. And any of the items that are currently there for categories exist, but I can certainly add new ones that I would like to put in. Maybe I want to put in, I've got something about classroom inquiry, but maybe I want to put something in about something else going on in my class. Maybe it's not a class inquiry, maybe it's a student inquiry. If I want to have that category. Maybe with my students, I'm doing Genius Hour or something like passion projects, and I want to have that category. I can add whatever categories I want. And now when I go back into the portfolio, for example, with Lightning McQueen, maybe with Lightning McQueen, I would like to add something in there about a personal inquiry that the student is doing. And I can add that on. So there we go, student inquiry. And I'll click on X to close that window. I could delete any of the categories that I have included as well. And so those are some ideas on how you might document more information if you are using this tool to do your documentation. And if you wanted to put more detail for the Creating Pathways to Success K-6 All About Me ePortfolio, then here are some tips on how you can do that. Again, that was through the teacher feedback. You have the option of doing an audio file when you are using the app, or you can upload audio files as well after the fact. You can have students type something, or you could be typing something on their behalf about the documenting, and you can also add evidence categories.